Hi, my name is Kevin Halmanack, and welcome to the first edition of Whining with Kevin.
The first edition.
First edition, inaugural, if you will. This is a interview-esque talk show I've created for the benefit of all of my Facebook friends out there. Every week I'll be welcoming a different friend over to come join me on the patio here with a beverage of their choice to enjoy and tell some stories. Today, I am so fortunate enough to have an old friend of mine join us, a 27-year police officer, still active duty, husband to Kara, father to Samantha and Nate, a self-proclaimed blues aficionado.
Very good.
Also a lifelong member of the Raider Nation.
Oh,
Please
forever.
welcome Mr. Josh Weitzman. Josh, what do you bring for us today?
Since this is the first
The first.
inaugural, I figure we better start it in style with some Blanton's.
Okay.
Straight from the distillery. I picked this up as I dropped my daughter off in South Carolina
Nice.
for college.
And
so
did you pay for this beverage?
I did.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to have a little sip
Yeah,
of it right
cheers.
now. Cheers. Thank you.
Love you, brother.
Cheers, everyone. So every week, I'll be asking 5 categories of questions, the same categories to every guest. And I think today we'll start off with friendship category. And so, Josh, if you can just tell the viewers how we met, maybe a story or two of some of the things that we've gotten into that we can actually say on
Yes.
camera.
That's that we both won't go to jail for.
Without-
We can tell some of those.
Yes.
So I became a policeman in 1993 in Kansas City, and I worked there for 2 years. And in 1995, I came back home to Chicago, and started my job with Chicago Police. And I started working in the 23rd District out of Halstead and Addison. And
What neighborhoods are those?
that's like what do you call Fullerton and Clark? Lincoln Park, kind
Lincoln
of.
Park, yeah.
The very edge of Lincoln Park, then Wrigleyville, Lakeview.
Oh, yeah.
And it went up to Wilson and to Lawrence. So
So
we went
they
into
covered-
Uptown. So
yeah.
you went from Fullerton to
Lawrence.
and from Clark Street to the lake.
Wow.
So you had really nice neighborhoods, and then you had shit
So you had some action.
shit in Uptown. Yeah, oh yeah, plenty. So I was on working midnights, 10 at night till 6 in the morning. Well, there aren't a lot of things open after about 2 in the morning, except for Frank's,
Oh, and Frank's, by the way, is our official sponsor.
and always will be.
It always will be. And Frank will always be the next guest that never shows up.
Yes, he will.
Frank's is located at 2503 North Clark. It's open from 11 a.m. to 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. on Saturdays
When they're open.
when the pandemic is over and they're allowed
7
to be
days a week. They never close.
open. Never close.
And
So-
it's a classic.
It is.
So it didn't take me but probably one night to find that Frank's was in my district and open late. Being an ex-bartender that I was from the old days working at Poets on
Yes.
Division Street,
Oh,
another 5 a.m. bar.
another fine establishment.
So I don't know, within probably a week of me starting back in Chicago working in the 23rd District, I went into Frank's one night, and sure enough, Kevin was working, and
Back in my bartending days.
yeah, we became immediate friends within, I don't know, I would stop in. Within 2-3 times we were friends.
Yeah.
And Kevin lived, I think, around here where we are now,
Park Ridge.
Park Ridge. And I came to find out within a couple weeks that he would take the train at 5 a.m.
The first train out of the city.
Right, so I was still working, so we started driving him to the train station usually.
Which was always wonderful because after working, an 8-hour shift at a 5 a.m. bar, 4 a.m. bar,
Yeah.
which allowed smoking at the time.
Oh, it was smoke
So,
filled like insanity.
I would take the first train out with all the business people. Being dropped off in an official squad
Squad car.
car where Josh had to open up the back door to let me out and for everyone to see me.
And
You know?
sometimes would say, "Get the fuck out of here! This is the last break I'm giving you." And I'd throw them out. I'd say, "Get on the train and get out of Chicago."
I, of course, had to stand in between the cars. I wasn't allowed to sit down anymore.
But so we started driving you, and then we, you know, I would start going to Frank's on my days off and hanging out,
Or we'd go out.
or we would go out. We started doing pretty quickly, didn't we? Start doing Tuesday night wings,
EW Buffalo Wild.
and didn't we go to
yeah, what's the other
Jimmy's?
place? Yeah,
Brother
yeah.
Jimmy's, right?
Brother Jimmy's.
So we started doing wings. They were like 25-cent wings and pitchers, and then we started. So then we just became good buddies and started hanging out when I wasn't working, or I'd come to work.
Yeah.
You know, I'd come to Frank's if he was working and I was off.
Yeah.
And that was it. And I think Kevin will maybe remember better. Either 96 or 97 we came to Mardi Gras, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was right away.
Yeah.
It was pretty quick.
See, I had started going to Mardi Gras in 1990. And I missed, I think, one Mardi Gras for the police academy. So I know in 95, I don't think I went.
No.
But I think in 96, I said, "Kevin, I'm doing Mardi Gras. I've been doing it for 5 years now. You in?" And so then we started our
Annual.
Mardi Gras trip. And on many occasions, I would pick him up from Frank's. He'd have his bag, I think, once or twice
Oh,
at
yeah,
least.
Yeah.
And we would literally hit the road at 4:30 in the morning from Frank's. Kevin would pass out, lay in the back of the fucking, I think we had the white Buffalo then,
Yeah,
the white
Buffalo.
Explorer. And we'd
Hit the
fly
road.
up, and we'd drive to fucking New
Nonstop?
Orleans. We would drive to Memphis usually and
Oh
stop
yeah,
in
yeah. We
Memphis
did stop
almost
in
every
Memphis.
time.
Yeah, that's right.
On the way down. On the way home, we'd come straight home.
That was rough. Great.
So we just were, we hit it off. We were we were very good friends and compatible and fun and
Same place of our lives.
yeah. I mean, and then Kevin was at my first wedding. He was one of my best men at my first wedding in 99, I think it was. So we had already been friends almost 5 years.
Yeah.
And he was there when both my kids were born, and they still have the stuffed animals. He got them from the zoo, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of. I'm sure there's a lot of stories to get into, but
Well, the Mardi Gras trips.
I mean, those are
were just epic, life greatest times on the face of the earth.
without a doubt.
Like we ended up. I knew Art Neville, who was the oldest Neville brother, so then we ended up spending Fat Tuesdays at Art Neville's house, and then we met John Goodman through a party that we went to because of Art Neville. Then we ended up hanging at John Goodman's house.
It's just like you couldn't.
Very hard
write
to
a story.
imagine. You
couldn't write
can't
a
even
story.
believe the shit we.
And the Bonos brothers.
Yeah, the shit we ended up being involved with.
One of my favorite, really quickly, one of my favorite Mardi Gras dinners that we've had, because we've had so many of them.
Oh.
But it had to be the night at Delmonico's, where after dinner, we moved into the piano
Oh,
lounge, smoking
and
cigars
Alex.
with meeting Jack LaLanne.
Yeah, and Alex
And
playing
Alex
piano and
playing
singing,
piano
dude.
and singing. Our other friend.
So my partner from Kansas City from '93, I think either had come to one Mardi Gras with me before Kevin started, or maybe the first year Kevin came, Alex started coming
Yeah.
too. So we had Kansas City, and then our friend Ben, who passed away a few years ago, my best friend since I was 3,
Yeah.
would some years drive with us or some years meet us there.
Yeah.
Take the train there because he had school or work or something. But it was us 4 were the core group, right?
Yeah.
Me, you, Alex, and Ben.
Yeah.
And then Alex had friends a couple years, came from Kansas City.
Yeah, one or two
You know,
nights,
there'd
somebody
always
would
be, and then my down the road, my another one of my partners from Chicago, Jack, came for a few years.
Yeah.
But it was always me, Kevin, Alex, and Ben were the 4 core, because me and Ben
Had to go.
started it
Yeah.
in 1990.
Yeah.
90, 92, 93.
But it was, even if you had missed one year, you come back the next, it
Oh.
was like you didn't miss anything.
Some years, Kevin came for a long time and didn't miss, me and Kevin. Alex, too, and then he would miss one. I only missed when my dad was sick. dying of cancer that one year after Katrina that you guys went, which was cool that you went.
Yeah.
But that was the year I missed. Otherwise, I think I went basically from 95 almost to 2010 almost.
2010. Yeah, we had. I think I had to miss 1 year.
Yeah, I think you missed 2 years maybe throughout that time.
Yeah.
But
It was-
whatever, somebody always tried to go.
Yeah.
Just to keep it going. So we had 20 years of Mardi Gras. And then on that 20th year, so in 2010, we had Ben came, Kevin came, Alex came, Jack came, right?
Yeah.
And that's when we stayed at almost like a B&B type place. Not
Oh,
a
yeah.
B&B, Airbnb.
Yeah, like an apartment.
We rented that apartment. That was amazing.
We had some interesting places to stay.
Oh,
But it doesn't matter where you stay once you're down there because you're going full throttle pretty much.
for years we stayed in Slidell,
Yeah,
30 minutes away from downtown, and drove at night.
that was crazy.
Luckily, someone was always sober.
Wasn't us.
Someone in town was,
Yeah,
but it was not
It
us.
was never us.
No.
Well, let's move on. Getting into the next category, I call it the life category.
Oh, that's a good one.
So, if anyone has ever seen your Facebook posts daily, there's a lot of interest that you may have. How do you think, your interests and your passions over the years, how do you think they molded you into who you are today?
Well, it's funny. I think they've been the same. Have I changed much since
No.
you've known me?
No.
25 years, and I think probably the 25 years before they were the same too. I played football and I love football. My son plays football. I coached him for many years. I love football. To me, football is one of the greatest analogies of life you can actually do. You literally get the shit kicked out of you. You have to have a coach who generally you think is a piece of shit asshole.
And you got to bounce back, Hefty.
But you have to listen to a guy you don't like
Yeah.
screaming at you,
Yeah.
calling you an asshole and a piece of shit.
Call the
And you have
boss.
to do your job
Yeah.
anyway. And you get the shit beat out of you, and you got to pick yourself up, walk back to the huddle. You got 30 seconds to shake the fucking concussion out of your head, because that's what, when I played, they used to call it getting your bell rung. That was what now we realize was probably a concussion.
Yeah.
And get ready for the play and go back and kick the shit out of
Do
the
it
person across from you. Well, that's life,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. Every day you got to get up and do the
Every
same
day
thing.
and get you beat up. There you have good days, you have bad days. So football I love, and I was a Raiders fan since I was about 6 years old. My dad's college football quarterback from Grinnell College in Iowa was a doctor outside of Oakland and was affiliated with the Oakland
Oh,
Raiders.
that's how it-
So from as long as I can remember, probably 6 years old, which would put it at like 1973,
Yeah.
4, somewhere
Yeah.
in there. I was a Raiders fan.
That's
And that
awesome.
was the heyday of the Raiders. There was no better team in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're from Pittsburgh, the Steelers were pretty close
Yeah.
to the Raiders.
Yeah.
I mean, there were teams like that.
They were
but
comparable.
those were unique teams
Yeah.
in the league.
Yeah.
Killers.
Well, and they were around for years.
And they hated each other.
Yeah. But they
But
were
the
great for
Raiders were
years.
but the Raiders were bikers, black guys who looked like pimps, white guys who looked like bikers with beards
Yeah, yeah.
along. They were the misfits of the NFL.
Yeah.
And Al Davis, the Jew from Brooklyn, the owner,
Yeah.
who was a genius, a football genius, said, I don't give a fuck what you guys wear. I don't give a fuck what you guys do. If you win, that's all. Just win, baby. That's it.
That's it. That's all you got.
And that's how who gives a fuck what you dress like? Who
Yeah.
cares how long your hair is? Who gives a fuck? Are you a good person?
Yeah.
Do you do a good job? That's all that fucking
Yeah.
matters. So
That's-
I like that whole philosophy.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And they carried that on for many, many years, the Raiders.
Yeah.
I mean, they were good in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and then they took a bad hit.
And they're getting back.
And they're they're on the upswing for sure, and they're
Yeah.
fun.
Well, and
They're the Las Vegas
moving
Raiders.
to Las Vegas.
It's going to be good for them. I don't love it, but
I
I'm
think
still going to love them.
It'll reinvent the team a little bit and get more fans. A
So
broader
that's
range.
football. Then I collect, carry, and use knives. I've been a knife collector since I was 12 years old. My dad bought me 13. My dad bought me a Randall knife from my bar mitzvah. Randall's a very famous custom knife company out of Florida. He started making knives before World War II for guys to carry combat knives.
I just saw an episode of the Pawn Stars where the guy
They had a
brought
Randall?
he bought Randall's
That's
and then
pretty
a couple
cool.
other ones.
Yeah.
Did he do the Rambo?
No, that's Jimmy Lyle. But,
Yeah, he had the Lyle
wait,
one.
Randall had the first hollow handle knife that the Rambo knife
Yeah.
is a take on.
Which has all the stuff inside.
Yeah,
the
so
fish.
Randall made a hollow handled, it was a Model 18, and the reason I know it is I just got one that I've been coveting since I was 12 years old. I just picked one up.
Are they still producing
They
them?
still make them.
Well, you didn't buy the original one.
No. They make them. They've been making them.
Yeah.
So it was a hollow handle with a saw on the back of the blade, but not a saw for wood, for the skin of a helicopter, the metal. They made them for helicopter pilots in case they crashed.
Oh,
to
to
cut the
cut
skin
the-
out of so they could escape.
Like a can opener.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
And then guns, as a cop, you know, most policemen have one or two guns. Their duty gun and maybe a backup gun. I have way more than two guns, and I carry all kinds of guns throughout my career. And, you know, I spent most of my career, I don't know if do we have a work section?
Not necessarily.
Well, so I spent most of my career working in an undercover capacity.
Yeah.
So, in that respect, I carried much different kinds of guns.
Did you always have to carry your issued one?
Not when you were undercover.
Oh, okay. So when you're undercover, you kind of got your choice. Within reason.
You didn't, but I did anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
And now, as of about 12 years ago, they did open it up to carry a lot of different guns if you're undercover.
Yeah.
And
Well,
you could qualify with them, which makes sense.
Because your outfit
You
changes.
can't carry a police gun either.
Yeah.
You understand?
Well, 'cause
people don't
people
think
say-
about that.
Yeah.
But the bad guys know police guns. So if you're working undercover and you're supposed to be a dope dealer or a fucking biker or something, you're not carrying a duty gun.
It's hard to explain where you got.
Why do you have a
trust.
duty gun?
Yeah.
Right. That every cop in the city carries.
Yeah.
So my guns were two-tone. You've seen them.
Yeah.
I carried a snub nose that was chrome and black and pimped out with pearl-handled grips. You know, you didn't want to carry a gun that looks like the police.
Would you dirty any of them up to make it look more?
Because you could still be a gun guy.
Yeah.
You just didn't want them looking like police guns. So most of my guns were two-tone, silver and black, shit like that. Different grips.
Says Raiders on the side.
Different grips, all that kind of stuff. So that's guns. You know, that's one of my hobbies, and I've been shooting since I was 13, long before I was ever a policeman.
Well,
me and my dad would go shooting.
And since I've known you, certainly a couple of the passions that you have, which have translated into my life as well. One being food, of course, but food,
bourbon.
Well, bourbon and cigars later, but music.
Blues music.
Yeah.
And music, period. I love music.
I mean, that relationship with Art Neville was amazing.
Yeah. To me, music is, there is no life without music.
Yeah. Everything needs a soundtrack.
I cannot, and not just blues
No.
at all.
No.
Rock and roll, New Orleans music, country music. I love country music. I mean, how many?
We've
We've
been to
seen
a
Shooter
couple-
Jennings together a
Shooter
couple
Jennings.
times.
We've been to a couple Kid Rock.
Yeah,
shows.
kid, I love it all. Yeah. I don't care what genre you want to call it. As long as it's good, I love it.
Yeah. And fun.
And it's always.
It's always fun.
If we do something, it's fun.
It's true.
Very rarely is it not fun. What's the point of doing it?
It's not too much.
Even this stupid fucking interview is
this
fun.
is fun, isn't it?
On that, we better have a little drink,
Oh yeah,
I
it's
think.
time. Cheers.
Cheers.
It's having fun.
And I will have to say what's very important to me about Kevin and I is Kevin got to know both my parents too. And I got to know his mother very well, and his brothers and sisters. We know each other's families, and they love his mother, and his family loves me, and my parents loved him. And that makes things even a little more different and
It's a
special
closer
to me,
connection.
I think.
Yeah, well, you come to understand.
I mean, my parents are both gone.
Yeah.
So to me, someone that they loved, it's even nicer for me.
And even your grandfather.
Right.
It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
But you get to know people much better when you meet their family and you see where
Yeah, and you know them a little. You don't
where
just
the roots
meet them,
come
you
from.
know.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Many people, we have friends, we've met their mom
Yeah,
and
yeah.
dad once at some fucking event.
No, but when you
we know when you
spend
know
time.
them, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I love your mom, you know, and your brothers, they know.
Yeah.
They know if they ever needed anything, they would call me. I'd be there in a heartbeat. They know that.
Of course.
Yeah.
No, they do, and it's you know, and hopefully, you know, no one ever needs those kind of
Correct.
favors, but
No one ever
it's
wants-
nice to have the
Everyone knows they can call me. We all hope they never have.
Yeah. Unless it's 25-cent wing night. I don't really
That's
want to
right.
All right. Well, you know, your approach on life certainly, as you kind of explained it, hasn't changed much. You know, and I just knowing you over the length of time I have seen it firsthand. So, you know, you're full throttle and the integrity and honesty that you show to everybody, but the friendship in general.
I try to be a good friend. To me, that's, you know, friends to me are actually more special than your family because you choose your friends.
Yeah. And it's difficult.
Family can be, you know, just because someone's your family doesn't mean they're not an asshole.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know how to say it any more simple than that.
True. And you know, we have a lot of superficial friends, not in a bad way, but
No,
you just meet a
right.
lot of people.
Correct.
And you know, doing this kind of interview on this format, and Facebook is a good example. We have, you know, we all have different people that we're friends with on Facebook that we may not see, you know, ever or for a
May
long
never meet, right?
Yeah. But it doesn't make any less of a
friend.
friend, but it's a different connection. So hopefully this show will kind of, you know, show the level of friendship
Right.
and the different layers that go into it. Well, on that topic, let's move on to something I know you're an expert on. The category.
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
The category of love.
Oh,
which,
yeah.
You know, you've had years of experience.
I've had two. I've had two marriages. I have
Yeah.
one. I'm married now, so I guess I had one, and I'm in one now. Thank God.
So what do you think the keys are to that success?
Dude, I don't know. I don't know that there is a key. I think you just try to do the best you can and be the best you can be. And relationships can be hard. I mean, they can be very hard. Even the best relationship in the world can be hard.
Well, going back to your example about football, you're asking, you gotta get up
You
and
got to get up and
do it again.
Or, you know, a good relationship hopefully is less ass kicked and more, you know, touchdowns. You know,
yeah, without a doubt.
that's what you kind of figure out at some point. Is the good, is the bad outweighing the good? That's when you have to make a decision. That's why I got divorced.
Yeah. Well, and you saw a lot of good examples in your life with your parents, and
Correct.
grandparents.
I don't regret anything
Yeah.
that I've done. I'm very happy now. I think love is beautiful. But it's a very complex thing, dude. It's hard.
There's no easy recipe.
Yeah, I think
No easy
I
day
think
coming.
it's hard. I think love is easy. Loving is easy, but it's day-to-day living and
Well, and the commitment.
figuring out and adjusting and dealing with everybody's soul has their own kind of thing and their own shit that they have that they grew up with and it's how does it work for you guys?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, and everyone has to go through it themselves. There's no book
you
on
can't
it.
tell anyone anything. I've always told you, I just want you to be happy. I don't give a fuck who you're with or
Yeah.
what it is. And that's kind of like a simplistic thing to say, but it sometimes it is that simple.
Yeah.
Are you happy with this? Are you happy? If you're happy and it's hard, that's okay.
Well, and we've seen people,
Right,
if
that
not,
aren't
if
happy.
not ourselves, we've seen people that are miserable and kind
And
of try to
still-
stick it out.
Right. For what?
Yeah.
For what?
There's no benefit.
How many people, I'm staying married for the kids. You're a product of divorce. Every kid knows the parents aren't happy.
Yeah. Well, and here,
There's no reason to stay. The kids aren't happier.
once the kids turn adults, they're leaving anyway.
No, but they're happier anyway if you're happy.
Yeah.
They're happy. They'd rather be with you half the time and you be in a good mood.
Yeah. Well, and that's, you know, I noticed it growing up that I think I had a more concentrated relationship with both my parents
Correct.
separately because of that.
Right. Right. So it's hard. It's a hard thing, but being happy, and of course there's love. Some people are never happy. Some people aren't happy.
Yeah. Just
Whether it has nothing to do with their wife, their girlfriend,
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
They can't be happy no matter what. Well, that's a different story. That's, this other person might be trying to help you.
Yeah.
People, I've been to therapy on my own. I've been to marriage. There's nothing wrong with any of that shit. Anything that you can do to
Figure things out.
help you figure life out and how to deal with things in a better manner is great, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
You have people, oh, fuck therapy, blah, blah, blah. Well, then you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah. Well, if you
I swear a lot, I'm sorry. Sorry,
there's
Facebook.
we'll have a bleeped out version of this for the kids.
Fuck them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just a topic that we're still learning.
I mean, I never thought I'd get remarried after my divorce, and I met Kara, and I was like, I don't know, I want to be married again.
Yeah.
It's just like
Yeah, it felt right.
exactly. I mean, I never thought I would get married again.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is it. I'll never do this again. And then you fucking meet someone, and you're like, let's get married.
All right, it is.
Yeah. So that's the other thing. Like, you have to be open.
Had she been married before?
Never. Kara never had.
So this is kind of a new experience for her. A little bit.
Oh yeah. I mean, 2 kids full time.
Well, she definitely
Done great. Yeah.
She picked an expert to learn.
Yeah, an expert. All right.
Well, moving on, and there's always.
And there's Kevin's love. I've been through many of those.
I wish I could remember that. One day you'll have to tell me
But
those stories.
he never stops. That's the key.
Practice makes perfect.
And you have to be open.
Yeah.
Keep your heart open.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well,
Better to fail. Better to try and fail than never try. I think that's a famous saying.
I have no idea about
Me
that.
neither, but I like that saying.
It might be in a book on my
I like that saying, though.
Well, not to turn things negative, but a little darker. As we get older, and we've gone through the process of death with relatives and family. What do you think you'd like to see at your services? Like, what do you whether it's an event or a message? Like, what do you?
My funeral? Are
Yeah,
you
if you can plan it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Perceive it. Like,
Well, you were at both my parents' funeral,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
They were nice.
Oh yeah.
So the Jews do what they call Shiva, where they don't do a wake before, they do after the after.
It's like a month.
No, it's 7 days if you're hardcore.
Oh.
Most people do 1 or 2 nights. So after my mom died, we did 7 nights because my father said I had to sit 7 nights for my stepmother, who I didn't even like. I'm definitely doing 7 nights for my wife, who I love.
Oh yeah.
So we did 7 nights for my mom. I think my dad, we might have done 5 nights. We drink
Now-
a lot of bourbon out there.
Just for everyone out there who's not Jewish, what does that consist of?
It's basically usually at a family member's house.
Yeah.
Like when my mom died, it was at my dad's house. And even when my dad died, we did it in that house too, because it's a bigger house, and
Yeah.
why do it at let it be there. But sometimes it could be at a family member's house if it's not, if your grandma or grandpa die, you might do it at your house if you're the kid. And it's just where family and friends come to the home, and you celebrate the life of the person.
Are different nights set
No.
for different people? So it's open house.
Open house,
7.
celebration of life.
Yeah. And from what I remember, going through.
It's hard to remember. We drank a lot of bourbon.
Oh, yeah. But everyone brought a lot of food, from what I remember.
You never cook. The family never cooks.
Yeah.
That's part of the deal. So every night,
People
food
bring-
is brought or ordered in.
Ordered in.
Right. And I'm not very religious as far as following religious protocols. So there are protocols, like very religious Jews, they have to cover their mirrors, and the families have to sit and all this shit. We don't
Old
do that.
school.
We don't do that shit. We just have a party.
Well, yeah,
That's what I did.
But now,
To me, it's a celebration of life. So for me, Listen, I would love to have a New Orleans funeral. Let's fucking have a band walk my casket,
Bar to bar.
chuck me right in the ground, and then start the party. You know,
Yeah.
that's how they do it. They play sad music until the body, and it's like a parade,
Yeah.
walking to the grave. Once the body's in, then they
It's a
up the
celebration.
music, and it's a party. I mean, listen, shit. When I'm dead, I'm dead.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck what happens.
It's really for everyone else.
I don't care, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. If Kara's alive, whatever she wants, whatever the kids want to do.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't live for when I die,
No.
so I don't care.
Well, you can't plan on it, so.
But I don't. I live to live.
Yeah.
I don't live to go to heaven or not to go to hell. Or I don't give a fuck about any of that.
I think we've been to both.
I don't believe any of it anyway. I think you got this life, and that's what you got. You better fucking live it.
I think we've been to both places.
Oh, I've ruled in hell, bro.
Oh boy. Well, I think the last category of questions I call it's just kind of a random category, so potpourri, if you will, of things. Kind of my dealer's choice of questions.
Dealer's choice. I love it.
So I think I'd like to hear if you can invite 3 other people to dinner, past, present, or future. Who would you like to go to dinner with? What would be the topic of conversation?
Not like my parents, you mean?
No, I
right.
mean,
not that, because
yeah,
of course
but
I'd like to
those
have
are all
one more dinner.
obvious.
Right.
Yeah. No, this would
I mean,
be,
I would say, I think, when I give you these, say if this is what you're thinking.
Yeah.
I'd like to have Willie Nelson.
Sure.
I'd like to have Ken Stabler,
Yeah.
and probably probably
Willie, Ken, you, and then who's the
the
fourth?
fourth,
The wild card.
the wild card. Yeah, maybe my grandfather, who I didn't really
Yeah.
know that well.
Yeah.
He died when I was 10.
Yeah.
My dad's father
Yeah.
might be Nathan, who my son's named after.
Yeah.
That might be an interesting, as an adult, being able to sit and talk to him.
Yeah, and so, well, now, with that said, those 3 people don't have a lot in common, so how would you run the conversation at the table?
Or it would run itself, I would think.
But if you had to kind of start, you had to bring them together and say, hey, what do you think about this?
Well, I think, it's interesting. Them all together is different than if you just were sitting with each of them alone.
Of course, yeah.
So, to me, Willie Nelson is really a treasure of the world. And someone that I guarantee he'd be someone like Art Neville. If I had met him 30 years ago, he'd be my friend.
Now,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah, you
He's
can
that
relate
kind of
because you
person.
relate to
Well, I
each other.
just think he's that kind of guy.
Yeah.
I mean, Art Neville was like a person I consider almost like a third father to me,
Yeah,
like a
family.
mentor,
Yeah.
who I just met randomly, but
It was amazing how quickly that relationship developed.
that was just the way he was.
Yeah.
I like Willie. So then you have Ken Stabler, right? Who was my all-time probably favorite football player, and studied the playbook by the jukebox light. He was a fucking rebel. He was called every one of his own plays, and just did his thing, and was the most clutch guy ever. And then my grandfather was born here in 1900. He opened his first pawn shop when he was 18 in 1918.
That's crazy.
And in 1968 had 7 pawn shops on the south side of Chicago.
7.
And used the money from the pawn shops to buy real estate and became a real estate guy.
Did he buy real estate all over or just Chicago?
No, all over Chicago only.
Were they like buildings, apartment
Units,
buildings, or corporate?
buildings or property. Yeah, buildings. So he had, let's just say, whatever.
What were they,
South
commercial,
Drexel,
residential?
everything.
Oh, all mixed.
Just whatever.
Yeah.
you know, the great story about my grandfather that my dad used to tell me was in the 40s, maybe? I don't know the exact date, but a guy came to Nate Weitzman, my grandfather, Papa Nate, I called him, and said, hey, I'm starting a restaurant. We're going to make hamburgers. And I want to put a restaurant in this land you own. But I also, if you're interested, why don't you come in as a partner in the business? And Nate says, I don't want to flip hamburgers for a living. It was Ray Kroc.
Yeah. You know, it's amazing you tell this story, and I had never heard it from you. 2 days ago, no, let's say Saturday or Sunday, I literally just watched the story about Ray Kroc, and that came up when he Michael Keaton plays Ray Kroc. It's
a movie.
Yeah,
Oh,
amazing
cool.
movie.
Well, Keaton's so good, dude.
It's a great movie that was
Where's that lighter?
It just got, you know, I must have missed it. I think it came out like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But it's such a good movie. Yeah, and we all kind of heard the stories about Ray Kroc, but to see the movie and how it plays out.
I guess the Weitzmans could have been original partners with Ray Kroc.
Ray Kroc started after he convinced the McDonald brothers to franchise, right?
Right.
They didn't want to. So he convinced them. So when he came back, he opened up his first store in Des Plaines, right here. And then around the country club he was at, his wife helped him convince the other
to
players
put money in.
at the country club to listen to his pitch. And then they started.
To
and
invest.
then early on. And
Right.
then most likely during this time is when he would approach
Right,
my
at some
grandfather.
point, right.
Because shortly after that, he met a gentleman who helped him, who convinced him that he should not just sell
No, they
the
have to
franchise,
own the property.
own the property.
Exactly.
So it was, if you watch the movie, there's a time span.
So it
where
was
this
somewhere
was-
in there that he must have talked to Papa Nate, and my dad
Yeah.
would laugh and
Yeah.
say, Nate told Ray Kroc, I don't want to flip fucking hamburgers.
So he didn't do it.
No, he didn't do it. I think he sold him the land, though.
Yeah.
He said, oh yeah, of course, let's make a deal on the real estate, but I'm not flipping burgers.
Yeah.
Which is just fucking fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just
So
an incredible story.
so those kind, like I was 10 when, and he was not a warm, like my other grandfather who you knew was as warm and loving a person as you'd ever meet. My mom's father, who was in World War II, lead navigator on a B-24 Liberator, flew like 50 combat bombing raids, was really probably my biggest hero, him and my father, obviously.
Yeah.
But it would be neat as an adult to talk to Nate Weitzman, my grandpa.
Yeah.
Because I never really got to know him.
And you know,
And I'd like to hear those stories, the pawn shop stories.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, especially with the amount of business that he was doing, has to be so interesting. Pawn
Yeah.
shops are pretty interesting in general.
To begin with.
Because it's a story, everyone who walks in has a story.
And to
About
think
a
about
piece of-
1918, he opened his first one. Can you even imagine that? And his last one was 68.
Well, and what happened during
The change, but the
during
change
Depression,
the change in America in those
Yeah.
50 years
Through the
is
Depression.
outrageous.
Prohibition.
Everything.
Yeah.
So that'd be interesting. And I think those three people, because of their personalities, would all listen to each other and have stories to tell each other, and they'd all laugh.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And they could all communicate, even though, listen, Willie Nelson, Ken Stabler from Alabama, dude.
Well, him and Willie
Nate,
might
and
make-
Nate Weitzman from Chicago, you know.
Yeah.
But they all were such unique, and Willie's alive still, but such unique characters,
Yeah.
you know,
Literally,
and
literally.
such drive.
Yeah.
They all had such drive. you know.
Winners, really.
Oh yeah, complete. And each in their field, their own fields, you know.
Now, as a sidebar, what is your view of Hank Jr. to Willie? I mean,
Listen, I'm a Hank Jr. I was a Hank Jr. fanatic in the '80s. I mean, me and Ben would go see Hank every chance we could see. Hank Jr. is a fucking genius songwriter, genius musician, and artist. And what's interesting to me about Hank Jr. is Hank Jr. was a partier, pot smoker, probably coke, you know,
Oh, sure.
and a
I'm sure he's
wild
done a
guy, and all of a sudden he's now a conservative, real conservative, and all of a sudden real political right-wing guy. And I find it very sad to me.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where that came from or what, because that was not how he was in the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
When was his accident?
73 or 74 when he fell off the mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was the change. That was the flip for him. He had just done his first record, Hank Williams Jr. and Friends, which was, Friends were the guy from Toy Caldwell from, Can't You See? What's that band?
Yeah. Creedence.
No,
No,
Can't You See? I forgot the name of the band, but and Skinner was on somebody from Skinner. He was just flipping the script from singing his father's music to singing Southern rock and doing his own thing, and then he was off the charts after he healed from the fall. That was Hank. Hank played fucking rock and roll. He played hip. Like he had Run DMC on
Yeah.
a song.
Yeah.
He was a real innovator, real interesting guy. But he's like off the rails now. Have you seen?
I haven't seen or
Oh,
heard
it's
anything about
horrible.
Oh, it's sad. Huh?
Started with Obama.
Yeah. You know, the problem is politics now. It's almost like worse than the pandemic. It's getting into our blood.
Politics horrible, right? I agree.
It's
I don't
nothing-
care if you're Republican. I don't care if you're Democrat. I don't care if you're fucking Libertarian. I don't give a fuck what you do. Just be a nice person.
It's become evil.
Right. It's tough. And it's
people used to have
it's
passion
tough.
for it. Now
Yeah, but it's hatred.
yeah, it's hatred. It's sad.
And so, all those kind of what you quote unquote they call outlaw country guys, or what do they call it? Americana now, kind
Oh, is that
of.
what they did?
Yeah, but outlaw country guys.
Yeah.
So
Wait,
Waylon, but I mean the original
Oh, the
guys:
original
Waylon, Willie, Merle Haggard,
Yeah.
David Allen Coe, Billy Joe Shaver. There was a whole group of them.
David Allen's still playing. I saw
Yeah,
him.
they
I saw
still
him out
play.
in
I know,
Lombard.
that's where he plays.
Yeah, the Brower House.
Yeah, so David Allen Coe was always kind of an outlier.
Yeah.
Because he was a real biker, legit, and went to prison for many years. And had some real racist records that he put out throughout the years. But Willie, Waylon, Merle, these guys were very liberal guys.
Yeah.
Liberal, whatever, do what you want.
Yeah.
Very liberal guys. Merle Haggard is known for, Okie from Muskogee, But the truth is, Merle Haggard smoked weed as much as Willie did.
Oh yeah.
And was just a kind of a open-minded, good guy. That song hit. We used to laugh about that. You could see interviews with him about that song.
I would think, and I bet it's true a little bit. A lot of musicians probably have that one song that they go, "Oh, I can't believe this is the
Oh
one."
well,
that-
like you hear Buffett saying that. Like Buffett has, I think,
Oh,
9.
Margaritaville.
Well, he has 9 songs
Yeah.
that he has to play every concert. He
Yeah.
says. There's like it's
and they
funny.
wouldn't be
I've seen
his
it.
top 9.
He's like, people come to see these songs,
Yeah.
and then I can play whatever I want if I play those 9. That's
How about when we met his daughter in New Orleans?
amazing. We met him too.
Yeah. Yeah, he
Dude,
came over.
yeah, we said hello. We got to meet him.
Yeah.
That was insanity, dude.
I don't even know how half the stuff happened to us in New Orleans.
That was going back to our friendship, to the